All right, David, it's good to be sitting back down with you, man. Last time we spoke was in the beginning of 2021. It's crazy to think how fast time has flown by. How have you been since then?
Yeah, man, been keeping well, and thanks for setting this up. I'm excited for our chat today.
Absolutely. So if you could just give a brief recap of like who you are, the business you've been running and what you do for guys now, like how you help the industry.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I'm Dave Moreman. I live in Canada here, so maybe talk a little bit funny if you haven't heard me 2 years ago. But essentially, man, I got my start way back in the day. With I ran a student painting business through college. Really cut my teeth there on entrepreneurship and learned, how to sell a job, how to produce a paint job. And so I've been at this now for 14 years, believe it or not, in the home service space. And my main company right now I created is called Revive Services. So we have washed now over 4,000 homes here in Canada, where we are in British Columbia. And I've got a team that's now running that business. We're about a team of 10. I've got 2 managers that run the day-to-day of that business. And I'm literally in the office 1 day per week, man. Wednesday mornings, I'm there for my team meetings. I love it. But I also have a passion for coaching others in our space too. So 3 years ago, I created a company called Home Service Business Coach that trains and coaches busy home service business owners, how teach them how to scale, how to get off the truck, and how to really set the business up to run without them. How I've managed to do at Revive. So kind of in a 2-minute shot out of the cannon, man. That's me professionally.
Love that. I know a lot of guys struggle with getting off the truck, and so I think you tackle a big issue because a lot of people when they start service-based businesses, the biggest thing people is that it becomes literally a high-paying job if they can get it to that, but still they're heavily involved. So I would like to dig in today on ways and strategies for people to begin getting off the truck and scaling up their business. And so with your coaching business being home service, you help guys across the service-based industry, right? Like whether they're
Yep.
washing, carpet cleaning, painting. I imagine that some of these systems are pretty much just foundational across the board, right?
Yeah, 100%, man. Like I'd say 70% of our owners, our members, own washing companies, but we've got painters as well. I've had a painting company for 10 years. We got guys that do Christmas lights, landscaping. So I think a lot of us, Isaiah, we get into business thinking we're super good at doing the thing. And so we think we will create a business around it. But the skill set to pressure wash a home or clean windows, it couldn't be more opposite to the skill set needed to actually run a business. You've got, accounting, you've got budgeting, you've got marketing, sales, leadership, building culture, priority management, time management, conflict resolution. Like all these skills are wrapped up in this different umbrella that are a lot different from knowing your technical trade. So a lot of what we do is teach people that journey. We call it from technician to CEO, because the listeners right here, man, maybe they got into business. I went to Home Depot. I bought a pressure washer. I was in business for a couple $100, but I learned very quickly you kind of hit your ceiling on revenue. And in pressure washing, it's usually around like 1 to 200 grand. In top line revenue, you kind of start to be like, man, I'm working like 60, 70 hours a week. Where's like the nice lifestyle I'm seeing, Isaiah backpack through Thailand. Like I want that, right? It's like people then learn, okay, that's what we mean with having a business run without us versus like we're just self-employed. Neither way is right. I think the biggest answer to getting off the truck just tethers back to the business owner. What do they actually want? Do they want that high paying job, or do they actually want the freedom and the lifestyle, and they want to build something that can run without them? So it really comes back to like what your true north is as a business owner.
Right. So you hit two important things. And one, you mentioned that the 100 to 200 grand. Is that where you think people should start to begin to looking at getting off the truck, or does that conversation maybe like with themselves start like way before that? At what point should someone start looking at building a team and having that mindset of, okay, like I want to now lead a team and not just do this on my own? Does that start at
Yeah.
100K? Does it start at 50K? Or does it start like at the very beginning when you start the business?
Great question, man. It comes back to the owner. I mean, if I was to start I'll tell you, we're adding in a painting division to my company. So, you know, where we're at and my years in business, I'm building this from the backwards forward. So I want to build it where I'm not actually on the truck for painting. So I'm going to approach it different, but it really comes to the question, man, of like, do we have more time or do we have more money? And I think 97% of viewers watching this, they're going to have more time. And so my best coaching is just what I did. And that was me. I hustled out my first $89,000 of work. I had a helper help me when we were busy, but I was on the truck learning the business. And then beyond that, I'm like, hey, I don't want to be doing this forever. I want to actually hire help and get out. So it depends on people's financial situations, but for a blanket statement, I would say first get yourself to 100K in annual sales. That's probably going to be your first 200 jobs, give or take, if about a $500 average job size. Prove the model in your market, prove you can sell a job, prove you can get Google reviews. There's a lot of proof of concept you need, but I would certainly not be rolling in my second season, man, without learning the skill set to hire people. Otherwise, maybe your second year you do 155 grand, but your third year, maybe you do 170. Like it's the law of diminishing returns. So I'd usually say, man, hit six figures, make a good income, and then start thinking a bit bigger how you could build something that goes without you.
Okay. I love that. So hitting six figures. So I want to talk about, and I want to mainly hit on, for people to scale, for people who are already at the six-figure mark. But if we can, let's just briefly run through what is a quick track, a fast track for people to go from new business owner to hit that six-figure mark? Like, what is some core things to do to get there?
Yeah, totally. So like 0 to 100K sprint, your mindset's number one. You're running a customer service business that happens to clean windows, happens to paint houses, whatever the case may be. And so you've got to, if you think you're doing enough with marketing, you need to even do more than that. I think, the stats are, if you're watching this interview, 80% of us aren't even going to make it to our 5th year anniversary because business is hard. And generally we fail for 2 reasons: lack of business and cash flow reasons. And we just get burnt out. So I think, man, I would make your 4 points would all be centered around marketing. One, I would get really solid. We call it neighborhood buzz. And so that's getting our door hangers, our signs. We do a lot of door knocking as well. Get your truck wrapped, even if there's some basic magnets. Like, don't get famous on Instagram, get famous in the neighborhoods that you find jobs in. And those tend to be affluent communities. People want their time back, they'll hire you. So that'd be one solid thing. For 2, I would sell as many jobs as you can in person. Man, when we started this business, I was trying to sell everything over the phone right here. You get $200, $300 tickets, but if you can go quote in person, our ticket size, Isaiah, is like doubled over the years. We're now over $1,000 because we run an in-person sales model. Has been huge. 3, lock your pricing in. Absolutely, price shop your market. Go and get 5 quotes. See what people are charging, but also know the costs that you have to incur in your business for chemical, for fuel, for insurance. Don't try be that cheapest priced company. Man, I went on Fiverr. I got a logo to start for like $100 and I was in business. So like, that's the beauty of a service business, man. You don't need stacks of money to get started. I know I definitely didn't have that. And the last thing for point 4, don't sink all your cash flow into fancy equipment. Still our rigs we run today, man, are very basic because I own the business and we're run with an owner with a sales and marketing mindset. And so don't go out and spend $30,000 on a skid before you have signed contracts of work. So those would be kind of a quick 4, like do these 4 things and you'll get to 100K type of thing.
I think that's killer because when it comes to when you have to choose basically either, okay, do I spend $30,000 on equipment and look like the man, or spend majority of that budget on marketing? The marketing guy is going to win every time. And you're going to have the guy, because what's going to happen is the guy who spent $30,000 on the equipment is going to think that because he spent $30K that he's deserving of all the customers in the market. He's going to be feeling himself a little bit, and it's going to feel a way towards the guy who spent less on the equipment, who can run at higher margins because he had little debt or probably no debt at all. If he, if it's cheaper equipment, but he's hitting the ground, he's staying busy. Like a park trailer isn't making any money. So I think that's a key one is just, boots on the ground marketing and building those relationships. One thing you talked about was the in-person quotes.
Yeah.
And so that has been a big debate I see like in like a conversation, I would say in different groups on whether or not to do in person. You're gonna have some guys who are like, man, I don't waste time going out doing quotes. I'm quoting everything online. And you say in person. I also liked in person because I felt that it separated me from just the online guys, and it gave me a little bit of personability with my customers. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
if I go up to them in person, they meet me. Now they know me, they see my face, they see my smile. It's a little more trust built than just a guy who's shooting a quote online. And listen, we live in a technology age. Quoting online saves time, money for your business. So what do you say to the guys who are going to be like, man, like I'm not wasting my time quoting in person?
Yeah, I would say you're tripping over pennies on your way to dollars, man. That's what I think we started in this new age too, 2016. We're getting our business going. Google Street View is like, holy cow, you can quote my house using technology. That's amazing. That whole mindset has got a bit fatigued now in the digital age we're in. I actually think people are getting quite refreshed seeing a rep come from the company and actually meet with them, go over their stuff, because at the end of the day, man, it's sales 101. People buy from who they know, like, and trust. And so if you don't have like a savage background in phone sales, I don't think you should be selling jobs over the phone. And if you are, they're probably going to be lower ticket. And so that's why we like in person. Does it cost $50 of fuel to drive across town? Yeah. Does it take me an hour? Yeah. But as long as I have a good pre-call qualification script and I let the customer know I can package up their job and give them a better price, we're going to go in and quote in person, and we're going to book 50% of our bids. But those bids are going to be $1,000, $1,200, $1,800 jobs, significantly better. Now, if you're just running window cleaning, Isaiah, no other services, nothing else, you could make an argument to just sell over the phone. I could see that. But for us, if you want to do soft washing and roof cleaning, Christmas lights, window cleaning, pressure washing, it makes a lot of sense to go out in person. So if you got like more than two services, you're missing out on this cross-selling and packaging your jobs that I think you just cannot do effectively over the phone and virtually. So I'm just talking from experience, been at this for 7 years now. 2023, that's what we're seeing working at my company and the ones that we're coaching.
Okay, that's solid advice. For guys, a lot of guys who get started with like a low budget, they might just only have a pressure washer. Do you still think if they only have a pressure washer, they can't even upsell like any other service besides pressure washing? Do you still think in person?
Yeah. I mean, man, we had a Honda pressure washer. I bought an X-Jet. It was like $300. And we like downstreamed with an X-Jet for our first like 400 jobs. So like, and that's why like today we soft wash, but it doesn't need to be a fancy startup. Like I think you could just get an X-Jet. I would roll up and have a gold, silver, bronze package. Gold would be literally everything from the driveway to the house to the gutters to the windows. Silver, I'd probably take out the driveway, and bronze would be like just the house, no windows or something. Like I'd have a 3-tier. You go to the movies, man, you have a small, medium, large for popcorn. Like these theaters are very smart how they set things up. You want to do something similar with your company. So yeah, if you're like, the only time I'd go only virtual is if you're just doing one service and it's dead simple and it's always low ticket, then you could probably make an argument for virtual. But the day you got more services, I'd go get in front of your customer, because I think you're leaving money on the table.
Yeah, I'll give my 2 cents on that as well, because like I said, I agree with doing the in-person quotes. Now for cookie cutter homes, I would a lot of time, like for cookie cutter homes that I already know, like it's a neighborhood, all the homes pretty much look the same, same build, and I know, okay, off the rip, I know how much I'm going to charge for it. Then okay, quick online quote. But I do like the in-person aspect, not beyond just being personable and showing up there and they see a face. Is that if they call you for a house wash, and you quote online and you only give them price on house wash, then you might be limiting yourself. When you go in person, and along with you building that credibility up, you notice the driveway's dirty, you notice the roof is dirty, you notice the gutters need to be cleaned. Over the phone, you don't see that. So your mindset is just, okay, I want to get this done fast and quick and without spending any money. So boom, here's your quote in the house wash. Say they confirm it, whatever. But if I go there do that in-person quote, I might have just turned a $300 house wash into, like you just said, it could be $1,000 job now when now I'm educated them, like, your roof can be soft washed. And some of these things, like, don't assume that customers just automatically know what things can be done with their house, can be cleaned. People might not know the roofs can be clean. They might not know the concrete can be clean. Go ahead.
100%, man. Like, our fuel bill for my company this year is going to be about $35,000 to $40,000. Okay. I would say 12,000 of that is into us going and driving out and looking at jobs. But that 12,000, say, in fuel, we're going to book probably over $500,000 in booked work in person that we would not be booking over the phone. So, it just comes down to knowing your business the best. And like I said, to make the argument for time and fuel, I think you're settling for pennies when you're missing out on dollars. And the last thing I'll say, man, in person, you can spot a lot of potential production issues. And so we've all booked jobs over the phone that we turn up to produce. And in the back, it drops to 3 stories in the back, and we don't have a big enough ladder, and we look like an idiot to the homeowner, or the roof's too steep. Like, we've all been there. You negate a lot of that on the front end before you even push the job to production. So that's more important when you actually have a brand and you don't want to tick someone off and have them slam you on Google for something you could have prevented. So there's just a lot of upside with the in-person. So that's just how we've chosen to build our business. But again, a lot of these answers on these interviews, it really depends for your business. But broad stroke, I think you're leaving money on the table if you try run your whole business through your iPhone.
I love that, guys. That's solid advice. So if you can get in person, don't be lazy. So the next question I ask you: how do you think the market has changed since 2021? Over the past couple of years, like, it's we have inflation. A lot of guys with inflation and layoffs and unemployment, they go to start a service-based business. So now looking at more competition. How do you remain competitive in this current market?
Great question, man. It's changed a lot. I mean, when I got this business going, there was a handful of competitors. On last count on our Google My Business, there's over 70 now, man, where I am. And companies popping up every week, even in my neighborhood. So we see it a lot. I think, through pandemic, you're seeing people go balls to the wall and do a bunch of stuff at their house. Then people did that all pre-inflation and pre-recession, and now we're in a totally different economy. So I think as a business owner, one is, like, don't be greedy, I'd say, with what you're charging. So make sure you know your costs, but I don't think now's the time to go out and charge, a peak season rate. Like, you want to be very fair with your customers, I think, and make sure you're still making your margins, but don't get greedy and try price too high. But it comes down to, man, you got to make your business different. And I think when you learn in business, you'll learn about a word called commoditization, which is when all things seem equal, we're just going to go with the cheapest one. And so this is the question that keeps me up at night, man, is how do we make our business different? And if anyone wants, any keeners on here want to read a resource, pick up the book called Purple Cow by Seth Godin. Short 100-page read, but talks about how to make your business be a purple cow in a sea of brown cows. How do you make it different? And so it's so important that you actually figure out how your brand will stand apart. And so getting tangibly, man, for us, number one, we pay people above living wage. And so we hear every day, oh, Revive, you guys cost way more. Okay, well, that's no problem. We pay our people more than we need to, because we want them to wash your home as if it's their own. So they're like, okay, interesting. They're paying more. That kind of makes sense. 2, we donate 3% of over our revenue to sponsor water projects in Cambodia. So we're writing off a quarterly check every year because we don't want to just make money here. We want to bring clean water to people who don't have it. And that goes back to my backpacking days through Asia. And lastly, man, we're the top rated company. And so you can charge more when people know what they're getting. And so that's the 3 trifecta, we call it, that we've been able to charge more. Now, if people are getting quotes, Isaiah, $500, $600. Revive's not going to be 1,800. Like, I'm not talking about selling a Ferrari to someone wanting a Honda Civic. If the quotes are 500, 600, Revive might be 800, maybe 850, maybe 900. So we're talking about a 20, 30% ski up to the other options. But it just comes down to the customer saying, is that worth paying more for what I'm getting? So it all comes down to just price is what you pay and value is what you get. So the listeners here should be obsessing around creating more value, and creating more and decommoditizing their business. So they don't just look at Isaiah's washing business and say, this looks like the other guys. Why don't I just go with a $99 guy? I don't see anything different here.
Yeah. And you know what? What's crazy is that's even now, even still, it that adds on more to what we previously talked about is going in person. Is like one of the ways I build trust on going in person is I want them to understand whether you hire me or not. I even tell people some things to look out for. I'm like, like if people pull up and like I'm like this house, I'm like this home, we can watch it from the ground, stuff like that. Basically, giving my educating the customer, we're gonna saying soft wash it. I'm like, if you hire a company coming out here and using a bunch of like ladders to clean your home, I'm like, I'd be weary because your home doesn't need that. And just little things, like you educate them on oxidation, just certain things to where it's like I built trust to where they don't want to use anything else because they see like, oh, this person's educated, they know what they're talking about. I don't want to use anyone else. I've had customers who hired the cheaper person in the market, and that the house dried, home's all oxidized, they can't get in contact with that person. They know where to be found. They've already gotten paid. They're out the door. And now I'm having to come behind somebody, and go fix their work. And obviously now that customer's going to pay a little bit more. But that's another just point. Like if you go in person and you build that trust, then that gives you that edge on being able to charge more. So you guys have gotten some information on how to go from basically a sprint on how to go from 0 to 100K. Let's briefly now run over for the guys who were at that point. And they said they made a decision in their mind. They're saying, hey, I now want to get off the truck. Maybe I want to begin. I want to spend more time with my family. I want to start another business. What does this look like? What are the systems and things we're paying attention to now to make that happen?
Yeah, man. A lot of stuff. So I kind of call it, there's different stages. So typically what we'll see 0 to 100K is like the newbie beginner stage, right? And you address a lot of that stuff on your channel, which is awesome. Beyond that, I'd say is going from 100 to 250K. That's where you want to then get a technician hired, not a helper, but an actual technician you can send in your branded uniform, probably driving your vehicle, going and doing the service, and you want to enroll with that lead. You want to bring them another technician to help them. So that's kind of your next stage. Then you've got the really messy zone, man, 250 to 500. That's where you're bringing on an office manager. You're bringing on a second crew. You're really moving yourself into more of like a sales role where you're quoting in person a lot, but you're not having to do the jobs. You're not having to schedule. And then beyond that, man, comes this like 750,000 range. That's where you can actually hire a production manager. You have a third crew. The production manager is running your crew. The office manager is running the crew. And then beyond that, you can get to $1 million and actually hire a full-time sales guy and get yourself out of sales. So that's kind of like the 4-step, progression that we see and we coach on. But it just comes down to, man, so many systems. Right now, the viewer watching, they're going to be wearing a marketing hat, an office hat, a sales hat, an operations hat, technician hat, finance hat, CEO hat. Like you can wear them all. So part of scaling becomes taking off one hat and delegating to the next person. So if you're at 100K, you want to grow, you've got to find a way to extract yourself largely from the field. And that's not an easy process to work on, but it is a necessary one to get to those levels I just described.
Okay. So one of the things I'll ask you then is like, so let's talk about software business. What are some essential softwares that guys need to be using? It's like, I'll talk to guys that tell me they started their business and I'm like, oh, you're using CRM, and they won't even know what a CRM is. And I'm like, oh, boy.
Yeah, like, we got work to do. Yeah. For us, the big ones, man, would be a CRM. So customer relationship management. The big ones would be like Jobber, House Call Pro, Mark8, Thrive, HubSpot. Like there's so many of them. For us, we're using Jobber. We love it. Secondarily is Slack is a great one. That's for once you get an employee, so they're not texting and calling you all the time. Slack's like a communication platform we use internally. And so if you've got 2-3 staff right now and they're blowing up your phone, look into an app called Slack. And then our other one we use, man, is called Nice Job, and that's helping to automate our 5-star reviews that we get on Google. So there's a whole bunch more, man. MailChimp for emailing, Canva for graphic design, Fiverr. Like our tech stack's like $1,000 a month right now. But those would be the big three I'd start with: is a CRM, internal communication, and then something for reviews. But you can nerd out, man, on tech pretty quickly. And sometimes I've coached people that are all into optimizing their business when I'm like, why are we putting in all these optimizations when you're at 50K of sales? Like, we need to go pound some doors and line up some work. But for the guy, the girl that's scaling, it's messy, you need organization. Like, these would be great ones to look at.
Okay. And if you can briefly hit on the review automation, like what does that look like?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a company called Nice Job. They're here in Vancouver where I live. And essentially, when we go, let's say we clean Isaiah's house today, as soon as the guys click complete, Isaiah will get texted a text message, just say, how happy were you with Revive? Happy face, sad face. They click happy. It'll say, awesome. Do you mind leaving a short review on Google or Facebook or Homestars we have in Canada here? And then the customer can do that. If Isaiah is busy, he gets the text, doesn't do anything, he'll get 2 follow-up emails over the course of the next week, just reminding him to leave that review. And so that's another piece of advice, regardless where businesses are right now. Those Google reviews will make you very wealthy if you go in the proper way of collecting them. And so we've pushed in a Nice Job to help us make it as easy as possible.
That's awesome, guys. I would definitely look into that. Like reviews are everything. Reviews are everything. Yeah, people are doing now. Once they are want to go to Google or Facebook to make sure that you are actually a good company. So like I can stress how important reviews lead to conversions. Like it's one of the things for business. Getting attention, but it's another thing to be able to close that attention. And I think reviews are that one thing that really seal the deal with closing jobs. So for the guys who have heard you, that listen to you, that they like, okay, I want to work with this David guy. I like what he's done. I like what he's doing with his business. I want to get to that point. What does your coaching program look like?
Yeah, man, it's a 6-month program. Our core offer is called Foundations. And so you come into our incubator program and get direct coaching to put all these systems into place. And, I chose not to franchise my business, but chose to actually partner with businesses that already have a brand and have an ambitious entrepreneur that wants to grow and scale. So our 6-month program, we're confident if you come through it, that we'll be able to help you get off the truck and be on your way to scaling. So that's really what we're all about, man. And we've been blessed to help now 115 home service business owners get systems and get help and move them to CEOs. So I feel up to this point in my life, man, it's been my life's calling to help transfer knowledge to busy business owners and move them into that CEO position. Because when you get out of the day-to-day in your company, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but it's a better reality that I think a lot of technically minded business owners would love to be in. So that's really where we help.
Awesome. And you also have a free Facebook group, right?
Yep. Free Facebook group, man. I got a podcast. So if you just Google Home Service Business Coach, the resources will come up and you'll be able to find more info on us.
Awesome, guys. Definitely check out, all the different resources David has to offer. My take on this industry is like, when it comes to, me putting out content on YouTube, I am just one very small fish in the pond, and my whole goal is just to literally help guys to not make the same mistakes I made when I first started off. I'm very beginner friendly with my content. And I always like to point people to people who are smarter than me, doing better than me. It's like, hey, to keep, you guys want to keep climbing, keep on that ladder of success, getting to the next level. And along that journey, it's going to take different people to help you get there. So I'm definitely, if you're interested in scaling up your business, get in touch with David and learn more about what he's doing. So is there anything you want to leave the audience with any, piece of advice or inspiration?
Yeah,
Before we
There is, man. And I'm glad you asked this because I just came off a coaching call with a member. He's going through a tough time. And I said, man, look at your timeline that you're building this business for. I think it's pretty common, Isaiah, in our space. A lot of guys will come in and try make that 100 grand in their first year. And if they don't make 100 grand in 90 days, well, then they failed and they quit. What I really try programming mindsets is it sounds cliche, but it is a marathon building a business. And I really think when I started Revive, I wanted to do it for at least a decade. And we're going on our 7th year now. And I still feel like there's still so much to do. So it's kind of this never ending journey when you've never arrived. And even if you heard this and you're like, I would just love to have a 500K business. If you're truly entrepreneurial, you'll hit 500K and you'll say, okay, you'll celebrate for like 10 minutes. And then you'll say, what's next? And so my advice is to really enjoy the process where you're at. Like for us, we did revenue 89K, 155, 582, 682, 810. Like that's just how we grew each year. And each journey, man, was beautiful and different, but you should never have your days of trying to be in a different state like that. It's the happiness destination, right? It just doesn't exist. And so be happy where you're at today. Definitely plan and dream and work for a brighter future, but don't think that getting to a state makes you happy, because it's the daily crap that you're crawling through right now that's going to make like the beautiful journey. So yeah, as advice I had for one of our members, and maybe someone's going through a tough time in their business right now and just needed to hear that right now. It's not an end destination. It's kind of the infinite game that never ends.
I love that. That's solid advice. It's what you're saying is fall in love with the journey. Because it's all a building block. You know, like where it can feel like you're not gonna reach success when it's slow, but you know, slow growth is the best growth, and not like to where it's slow because you're not putting in the necessary work. It's like patience plus speed. But understand, like, you know, like as anytime you're running your business, you're failing, you're reinvesting, and but you haven't quit, you're working towards where you're one step closer to where you want to be. If you haven't quit, you're reinvesting, you're learning, you're getting closer. So I think that's very solid advice, David. I appreciate you sharing that, sharing with the audience. Once again, thank you for coming on. This has been another valuable, with you. I hope you guys watching have gained some value from this. Once again, if anything, at least go check out David's free Facebook group. Get involved in there. A lot of great information gets shared in these groups. So 100%, it's not going to cost you a single penny to do that. So, David, value your time.
Thanks so much, my man. And your podcast is one of my most downloaded still to this day. So we're going to have to do another one, man. Give the people what they want.
I'm always for it. Awesome. All right, guys, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.